Hey guys, we've got Alaina Cain with us. She is a flight paramedic, so if you ever wondered what it was like to be in the back of a helicopter saving lives every single day, stay tuned. There's a lot of great content on this one.
Hey, this is Liz, and you're listening to the SouthCack Syndicate Podcast.
Welcome back
Welcome back.
to the SouthCack Syndicate Podcast.
I'm Jared.
Kyle Voss.
We have Alaina with us today. Alaina Cain, welcome, Alaina.
Thank you. We're getting like, I guess we've done enough of these now, but we're getting pretty slack. It's like we're not even trying to, I don't know.
Well, somebody said stop bringing up the episode, so we just stopped bringing up the episode. We'll do a better job of doing maybe a cooler intro. You didn't take that?
No. Oh, I'm expecting a delivery at the house, and I think that might be them, but oh well, they'll figure it out.
Okay. All right. So today we have a very interesting career path from Alaina, who is a flight paramedic.
Flight paramedic, what does that entail?
Flying and being a paramedic.
So if you were a ground paramedic, you're on wheels.
True that.
So you're rotary, you're in a helicopter, not fixed wing, right?
I am. And a more serious answer to that. So in order to be a paramedic on the helicopter, you do have to have critical care.
So there's a difference between a paramedic and an EMT, right?
Yes.
Okay, explain that.
So your EMT, that is your basic life-saving skills, and your paramedic, there's more opportunity to do more invasive procedures.
Closer to a doctor.
Well,
And your EMT is like your assistant. Is that kind of how that works a little bit, maybe?
yeah. So EMTs don't usually do anything really invasive, whereas paramedics can start IVs, give medicines, interpret 12-lead EKGs, and
Gotcha.
they just have a little bit more training and knowledge.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, like on an ambulance, you have one EMT, one paramedic, correct?
Usually, it really depends on the agency. So sometimes you can have two EMTs show up. Sometimes it'll be two paramedics. Sometimes it'll be one. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm assuming a paramedic gets paid more,
Yes.
which is why they team them up. I don't know. This is all
Well, I
assumptions.
bet a flight paramedic gets paid way more.
Perhaps not as much as you think, but
Really?
yeah.
What is the average salary for your position?
I think it really varies where you work.
Is it based on experience as well and degree?
That has yes and no. So it has a little bit of influence on how much pay you get, but I think usually in the Southeast, probably about $65,000 a year.
Wow.
And how many, do you know like the numbers of how many? So you're a flight paramedic. Is that a like life flight? Is that what you consider a life flight? Or
Yes.
is there other kinds that are just like transport?
So I think, at least that I'm aware of, the helicopter EMS usually, at least in the Southeast, you do interfacility transports and you can do 911 responses. And most of the time it is emergent. Other times it might not be as emergent, but you need the critical care providers on that aircraft to be able to take care of that patient.
So I was in Nashville. Gosh, it's been almost a year now. And a friend of mine was staying in a place that was like right next to the hospital. And every 15 minutes, there was a helicopter flying in there. And I was like, it can't be that many emergencies. I wonder if they're just transporting, I don't know how that works. And I don't know what kind of hospital it was, but I know some of those hospitals, maybe.
Same helicopter do stuff like that?
You can. It's not often. A lot of times they'll take a fixed wing for that just because it's further, but we can if the opportunity presents itself.
So how long have you been doing this?
I've been on the helicopter for a little over a year and a half.
And before that?
I was a ground paramedic.
Now, did you aspire to be a helicopter paramedic, or
I was
it just
never
kind of
supposed to-
fell in your lap?
I was never supposed to be a paramedic to begin with.
Oh, really?
I ended up there.
Went to school to be an English teacher.
How did you end up being a paramedic?
So my goal was to go to med school. And then as I'm like getting ready to, getting pretty serious in my undergrad studies, I was like, well, I should probably do something to make sure I really like patients in medicine because this would be a lot of time and money. So then I went to EMT school and I was like, this is the coolest job in the whole wide world. So then I went to paramedic school and then I started working as a medic, and I saw a helicopter come into our hospital one day and I was like, that is so freaking cool. So I went online, I looked him up and I saw a job opening and I applied. I was like, there's no way they're going to call me. And they called me.
And you got it.
I did. Yeah. I mean, it took a lot of testing and extra studying to get there, but that's
Now
how I
you're
got the
based
job.
out of the Southeast currently.
Yes.
Have you always been based there? Is that the only company that you're full-time with there?
Yeah, the company I work for, we do have the opportunity to travel. I just haven't gotten there yet.
I come with per diem,
It does come with travel money.
extra pay.
Yes.
But your
Hey, that's
shifts are
worth it.
your shifts are kind of crazy anyway. It's almost like a firefighter shift. Tell us about what your Monday through Friday looks like.
So I work 2 days a week, which my husband jokes and says I
Is
never
that
work.
like 2 days? Is that like 24 hours? Like you
Yeah.
stay the entire time?
Yeah, so it's a 24-hour shift, and then my particular schedule, we have 24 hours on, 24 hours off, 24 hours on, and then we have 5 days off.
You know, when you
it's
take
horrible.
when you take the 2 days a week and you say 65,000 a year, you're doing way better than most people.
Yeah, I guess per hour basis.
Well, you're getting 7 days a week off.
Yeah. You get 5 straight.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's a pretty good deal. Especially if they'll come pick you up at your house.
I've asked if they'll do that.
I don't think they do that. That's crazy. So, all right. So your shift starts at what time?
It starts at 8.
8 in the morning.
Yep.
All right. So give us a walkthrough of what that looks like. You got your duffel bag in your hand. I can see in like your flight gear or whatever. Or is it yoga pants, t-shirt until we get a call and you dress out?
So I always show up to work flight ready. I have to do that. You just have to show up to work ready.
Ready to go.
It depends who you ask. They might show up in their yoga pants, but I show up ready to go. That way, in the event that the off-going crew gets a flight and I see them getting ready to go, as soon as they get there, I can hop on and let the other medic off. But then we'll do our morning routines. We have tons of stuff to check off, like our blood, all of our medications, and then we go and check off the aircraft. And usually all of that takes about an hour. To
Gotcha.
get settled
So
in.
you're involved in the aircraft checkoff as well.
So we do the medical side.
Not the
And then-
pre-flight.
Yeah. While we do that, our pilots will do the pre-flight. We are responsible, obviously, for walkarounds and stuff like that to make sure nothing looks out of place. And so we have awesome pilots that are very thorough, and we have mechanics that show up every day and check off our aircraft as well and maintain it. But yeah, I don't try to get too far into the aviation.
Right.
Okay, so you walk in, you're dressed out, no calls are coming in. We playing a game of pool. Are we cooking in the kitchen? Or are we trying to sleep?
Honestly, you can walk in and get a flight right away. It really just depends. And so usually I get in and then I have my second breakfast after we've done all the aircraft checkoffs. So I make some food, and then we have there's always training to do. There's always training. We do peer reviews on all of our flights, and so anytime you take a flight, it gets reviewed by a set of peers, and so we have tons of peer reviews to do. More training.
Busy work.
Yeah.
Sounds like busy work, which I mean, I get why it's very important. I understand that, but it's also like,
Yeah, how often that helicopter has probably serviced more than any other helicopter in the area.
oh yeah, they're like the best. So I don't want to get into, I'm kind of, Jared too. We're both kind of aviation nerds.
I'm in ground school right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Not
we
for
kind
rotary.
of talked off podcast, and I asked you if it was a Dolphin, which is a popular helicopter to fly in that field, but you said it's not, correct?
Correct. I'm in a Bell 407.
Okay. And the reason I bring that up is because there are, and it may be not out here, but when I was in California, I was up on the lake having a good time. And the lake's out there in the mountains. They're not kind of near anything. And somebody had a compound fracture of their leg and had to be flew out. But it was not a helicopter like you're talking, because I think they put her outside. They had like a,
Hang on.
they like strapped her to a board on the landing gear. I mean, I think it was encased, if I'm not mistaken,
Windy.
but she was not inside the helicopter.
That's like
That's
MASH.
pretty wild.
Yeah, it was kind of very much like MASH.
The glass front and the basket outside where people
Yeah.
lay in.
Now, she obviously wasn't going to die, but, you know, it was going to, I don't know how far the drive would have been to get to her to the hospital, but they were like, no, we'll just fly you out. We're just going to strap you outside the helicopter.
I
right
would
here.
have freaked out. Not that it's any different from being on the inside.
Yeah.
You're the same altitude. It's just, there's nothing there.
Yeah, I think her ride was a little cheaper that way.
That's the difference between Obamacare and Medicare.
Oh my gosh.
You got to be on the outside of the helicopter.
Government insurance may not be the best way to go.
Yes. I mean, that's been, gosh, probably 30 years ago. So,
How many calls will you do in 24?
My base is pretty busy, so we do an average of 3. We've done 5 in a shift, and each one is about each one is at least 2 hours long from, skid to skid, lifting from base and coming back. The minimum is like 2 hours.
Skid to skid.
So you leave, you go on site if it's an accident or whatnot. And then from there, probably to the hospital.
Right.
And then back to base. Right.
You're base sitting on site.
So we are near a hospital, but if it's a scene flight, we'll go and meet the EMS crew wherever they request us to go. We're at a local LZ. We'll fly to them.
But the pad is not on hospital property.
It's not like on the roof of a hospital, right?
Ours is not, no.
So you're not part of the hospital system. You're a contractor to the hospital.
Which I think, if I'm not mistaken, most of your ambulances are like that now too, right? Am I wrong, or half and half?
Well, we see a lot of Prisma ambulances. I don't know.
Yes, but a lot of those are contracted, and they just put the logo on there. Mm-hmm. So it's not actually like, well, maybe Prisma might be, but like Oconee, you'd see Oconee, hospital, whatever, but that was not an Oconee hospital. It was like some third party that was basically just carrying their logo for them.
Red Crayon Ambulance Service or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
bust out the pop rocks.
No. So we were talking before the podcast, Lane, and you said something disturbing to me, but I guess it's just the reality that probably 10% of the patients that you treat are 16 and under, 10 and under.
Yeah, depending on where you work. Some bases transport more pediatrics, but yeah.
That's from accidents or from just transport from hospital to hospital?
From anywhere.
From anywhere.
From car wrecks or GSWs or, God, you see domestic. Surely you don't see any of that in a helicopter.
Anything and everything.
Gunshot.
That's bad. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible.
So how do you prep for your day? So you work your 24, you have your day off. Is this just, I'm not thinking about yesterday, I'm going to enjoy the day, or is it a mental thing? How do you handle or cope with the stress of your job? And I would ask that to any first responder. I couldn't do what
separate your. How do you separate?
How do you not take your sadness out on your household or your anger?
So I think that's a difference. I've learned so much since going into air medical on preparing yourself for your shift versus ground EMS. I think ground EMS, there's so much more hustle. Like you go and you do your call, and then as soon as you drop that patient off, there's another call holding, and you need to go to respond to that, no matter what just happened beforehand. But I feel like in air medical, they teach you a lot more on taking care of yourself and preparing yourself really well. They don't want you to go and take a flight or make anything more risky than it already is by not being in the proper headspace or, showing up and not being well enough to be there. So typically the day before I go to work, I try and have a low stress day. So I try and hydrate really well because flying dehydrates you very quickly. I try and get some good rest the day before, and I don't drink the day before I go to work.
Little meditation, some yoga.
Just relaxing and
Just clearing your head.
Does the company offer, what do you call it, like stress classes or a counselor?
What pops in my head now is that she's talking about peer review. Is like one of the questions, like, is your coworker crazy? Like, are you like ousting your coworkers because they've had too much stress?
I don't know.
So we really do, like every morning during our morning brief and during the night brief, we always are like, you good? You good to be here? Or I've worked with my partner for the year and a half now, so I kind of know when she's stressed. She knows if I'm stressed. And
well, that's cool. So you got the same, you work the same shifts with the same people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
So we know each other pretty well, and if we know something's not right, then we'll call each other out on it, see if we need an hour, 4 hours to take a chill pill before we go and do anything.
Has anybody ever pulled you out and say you're not going on this one?
No.
Have you ever pulled any coworker out and said you're not going on this one?
When we get back-to-back flights, well, that's pretty funny. Yes. So I get very hangry, like very quickly.
When we get back, I got to eat.
Yeah.
She's a woman.
And so I always have to have snacks. So usually I have tons of snacks either in my suit or, I'll pack a snack bag if I think that we're going to be gone all day. But yeah, my partner will be like, we're not going until Alaina has a snack. So
Maybe get a nutty butter.
Yeah.
Call ahead. Alaina needs to eat. We'll be there in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Or the pilot is like, are you good to take this? Or we know how you are. If you get hungry, we just don't want anything to happen.
So how many of you? So you obviously got a main pilot who's not a paramedic,
Right.
or in this case, he's not a paramedic. And then is it 1, 2, 3?
So you have the pilot, and then you have a medic and a nurse.
So only 2. Well, you showed us pictures earlier, and I don't know if Kyle can post those if we get them up here. But it's a very tight quarters.
Yeah, and all of them are. They're never going to be as spacious as like a whole ER or a whole ICU room, but yes, some of them have more room than others. This one does not.
So this helicopter is not the one that you've ridden in from your corporate office to your other corporate office.
Who are you talking to, Jared?
You.
Oh yeah, me. Oh yeah. No,
It's different. Like
Mine's much smaller.
The outside looks the same. But
mine's
the
much
inside
smaller.
is-
My helicopter's one of those you have to pedal. You have to pedal real fast.
or twirl your beanie on your head and run. But it was really cool to see the pictures. We'll see if we can post those up to the YouTube piece of this. So when you're in there, and is there any off time in between calls? Are y'all schooling? Are y'all classing? Are y'all shooting pool?
It's really up to whatever you're going to do to keep yourself, I guess, ready to go for the next flight. So if it's napping, they want you to take a nap. They encourage safety naps during the day because we do work 24-hour shifts. So, there's a good possibility you're going to be up all night. So they want you to be
Gotcha.
ready for that.
So anytime you got a break, they're like,
Yeah.
cat nap
You
real
get your
quick.
own bedroom?
Yes. I would. I wouldn't want to share a bedroom at work. That would be miserable.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I've been into some of these first responder
Yeah.
buildings, and like, there's no bedrooms. It's like
Some of them are bunk beds and recliners and a TV in a living room setting.
dude sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little different. I get it, but still.
Yeah, we have really nice quarters, so and we're allowed to bring in whatever's going to make it nice, and so we've got TVs and heated blankets, stuff like that. Whatever's going to make you comfortable. And
Tell me what you love most about this.
I mean, I've always loved EMS because you get a huge adrenaline rush. I'm an adrenaline junkie when it comes to that, like not when it comes to roller coasters or scary movies.
Sure.
But
Get fired up, and then
yeah,
well, and I'm sure there's an element of that where you're, the adrenaline or the dopamine is also from helping. Like there's it's not just the rush
the
to
fact
flight.
you saved a life.
Yeah, the part that where you saved a life is
Yeah.
got to be some kind of.
it does feel good when you know that you've made a difference. A lot of times we don't feel that way because really you might see that patient the worst part in their entire life, and then you drop them off at the hospital and
Never
that's
see
it.
them again.
Yeah, so we rarely get feedback or get to follow up with these patients. So sometimes you're kind of left wondering whatever happened to them, or you don't find out until months later. So
Right.
you kind of have to learn how to separate yourself from that.
Yeah, I could see that.
So how do you do that?
How do I separate myself?
I know it's like even if she tells us, I don't think we're gonna understand.
So everyone at EMS has a very dark sense of humor. So no matter if you've just seen the most horrific thing ever, like we're going to make horrible jokes about it.
You know what's crazy? You say that next.
So you find relief in comedy is what you're saying.
For sure.
Well, from the outside looking in, that may sound weird to most people, but I know people who work in the funeral business, and it's the same thing. Like you have to. I don't know if comedy is the right word, but like I guess you get desensitized to what you're doing
For sure.
to a certain level where people on the outside looking in are like, how do you do that? Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. So we try and keep it to ourselves, obviously, because if somebody hears us joking about like a very serious situation, they're going to
doesn't look right.
Yeah, they're going to be very offended. I think most people that aren't in EMS or in the ER would probably be pretty offended if they heard half the things that were said. But it's like seriously, that's the coping process.
Yeah.
And then I think so many freak accidents happen, and those are the ones that tend to be really bad. And sometimes you think to yourself, like, there was no avoiding that. Like it was their time to go. Like there's no.
It's like that movie. What is that movie? Where they're on the plane.
Snakes on a plane?
No.
The first one.
That's the one I thought.
No, they're on a plane. It's a group of friends. They're on a plane, and the plane crashes, and they don't die, but they were supposed to. And so, like, now all these freak accidents start taking them out in order. Come on, you got to know that.
The first one had the log truck with the log.
Are you talking about Final Destination?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 3 of them.
No, I thought there was more than that. But anyway, it was
More of
they figured out that it was in order on the plane.
They were supposed to die on.
I didn't
Yes.
watch that movie.
You've never watched that movie?
No.
I just watched the first one. Freaked me out.
Yeah, because it's like exactly what you're talking about.
Well, even to this day, I don't get behind a log truck because of that movie.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the one at the end where
I don't want to talk about it.
dude almost gets run over by a bus and
No way.
it's not that bad.
Speaking of bus, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with Alaina Cain.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time consuming. When it comes to your auto and home insurance needs, make things simple and trust your Allstate experts. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your auto and home. Bundling saves money, sure, but it also saves you time. So you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact Clemson Allstate agent Shane Smith at 864-654-1047 today for a free personalized insurance proposal. Allstate, are you in good hands?
Hey, we're back with Alaina Cain, flight paramedic extraordinaire.
Yes.
You're going to be doing this a long time, aren't you?
I hope so.
Yeah. Are you ever thinking about getting your helicopter license or your fixed wing license because you're up in the air every day and you see it? And
I have a lot of respect for our pilots. At first, I thought it would make me want to go get my pilot's license, and then after I've seen somebody like fly a helicopter and go through emergency procedures, it kind of scares me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want that
trained for that,
responsibility.
though.
Have they ever like let you take the stick?
No.
Like, hey, you want to come fly right quick?
But you are trained to if the pilot has a heart attack or it becomes irresponsive.
So they do brief us on incapacitated pilot procedures.
Simulators? You getting a simulator?
No. They just tell us exactly what to do, and
They tell you,
Yeah.
hey,
What do you do?
come on up right quick. We're going to do some training
Yeah.
while you're in the air.
so they teach us emergency shutdown procedures. So the best place that you could want this to happen is on the ground. Like, hopefully your pilot can get you to the ground. But if at that point they are,
He's definitely
He'll get you to the ground. Yeah. There's no listen. He promises he can at least get you there.
yeah. So if we can get out on the ground, we know how to shut it down. And if something happens in flight, how to activate the autopilot and call for help.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah. So,
okay.
But at that point, and think about everything that could go
yeah.
wrong and how you're not going to be able to land this thing.
Like being the paramedic.
you could probably do it.
Being the paramedic on that flight would be scary. But could you imagine being the patient on the flight?
Yeah. Really? I just survived a car crash.
You're leaving me to do what?
You gotta find this thing.
Hold my bag. So do you deal with, a little off topic here, but do you deal with drunk people, drug people, high people?
Yeah, that was much more common on the ground ambulance, but all the time.
Would you rather deal with a drunk person or a high person?
Probably somebody that's high, just because they don't vomit as much. I think,
Good answer.
they don't smell
Only
as
from a
bad
paramedic
usually.
does that answer come out.
Yeah.
That's great. I ask cops that too,
Yeah.
It's like, we'd rather deal with somebody smoking a joint than we would
for
somebody
sure.
drinking shots of Jack Daniels all day long.
Yeah, drunk people pee, vomit, poop, and they don't care. So
Now I will tell you, I would assume that in your line of work, you're putting those patients out.
if they need to be,
Yeah.
I mean, in the helicopter, they're not going unless I'm positive that they're going to behave.
Right. Yeah. Because you're stuck in a
Oh
box.
yeah, what if you start frailing and flipping switches and
We have medicines for that.
they don't get to that
See, the
point.
first thing they get is an IV, is some kind of IV, right? And that way they can just feed them whatever they want to.
And they're never the wiser.
So obviously, always try verbal coaching. But if that doesn't work, you can go a long way with verbal coaching. But if that doesn't work, we've got medicines for that.
So you're really sweet and just, soft and well-spoken. Can you get gangster on somebody pretty quick?
Yes, where I worked before taught me that. You just have to. I mean, I'm fine until somebody's crossed the line, and then at that point, we're not
done.
playing games. Yeah,
We're done.
We're done.
You get the nitrous or whatever.
Nitrous. I don't think that's a thing anymore.
It
Make the
is.
helicopter go faster?
Well, I don't know about it. No.
They do have it on the ground ambulance, but
Yeah.
Sure.
You got it in the dentist's office.
Never had it.
You know what I'm talking about? You've had-
NOS. Oh, you NOS.
No, nitrous. Nitrous oxide. That's what they give you at the
NOS.
dentist.
I've seen Fast and Furious, man. It's NOS.
We're not talking about manifold bolts here.
That's great. So tell me about, do you keep in touch with your patients? You save lives, right? That
try to.
you walk away some days knowing that they would have died if
Yes.
you wouldn't have come.
yeah, that is a good feeling knowing that you have done your best. We obviously always, and that's why we put such an emphasis on being ready to to take a flight or to take care of a patient. If you're not ready to go, then you don't go, because we want to make sure that we give every patient the best opportunity. So everybody's got to be in the right headspace. And so it does feel good to get back to base and feel like you've made a difference. That does feel good.
Has anybody in your flight paramedic life reached out to you and said, "Hey, appreciate you. Thank you. You saved my life"?
I can't say while I've worked. I came up on a motorcycle accident, and we kept up with that patient, but I wasn't working that day.
That's right. Wow. And then what about the other side? You walk away from that chopper knowing you didn't save a life sometimes.
A lot of times that's a hard day. I think it's definitely harder with kids or with people that were honestly a victim and had, if you knew that they had a family or something and, whatever happened to them, they didn't have anything to call. They had no cause, or I guess whatever they did didn't put them in that position.
Right.
If they were
just honestly, a freak accident.
Yeah. If they were honestly a victim of what happened, like that, it does suck and you take that with you. But,
and you were saying a majority you see, not a majority, you see a lot of youth.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. So yeah, about 10%. And obviously most of the youth, it is traumatic injuries. It's not necessarily medical problems.
Yeah. She said, we were joking around in the break, she said, don't climb ladders too if you're old. So
Yep.
Those old people getting motorcycles and climbing ladders.
That's what they do.
Like they're back in their 20s.
You got to stick to the New Balance and Corvettes.
Okay.
Quit climbing ladders and buying motorcycles.
I think
New Balance and Corvettes.
We have an equation, and it's like height, or what is it? It's age plus ladders equals HEMS, which is helicopter EMS. Like every time.
What?
Yeah.
Listen, the older I get, the more ladders freak me out. So my dad was a roofer when I was growing up, and I was a little kid. I'd climb them things like it was nothing. Now I get on one, and they all feel
I won't even get on one. I mean, I just won't. I'm scared to death.
We're just getting old.
I hate heights. Like I climbed up on the roof of this building, the first roof.
Yeah.
Then we pulled the ladder up and put it on the second roof, which is twice as high. And it took me like 30 minutes to get one leg on the roof. And I'm hugging the roof like this. If you can see me here, hugging the roof like this. And then once I stand up and I got all the space, man, I'm good to go. I stay about 3 feet from the edge. I look down. I freak out. Okay, I'm good.
See, as long as it's stable.
But getting back on the ladder.
Oh, yeah, you got to swing that leg around.
It's another 40 minutes.
See, as long as
I just don't do it. I'm scared at the heights, but I love to fly.
Yeah,
like, that's my jam.
So flying doesn't bother you at all?
No. Flying through the mountains sometimes, like, it does get pretty gusty and turbulent.
Yeah.
That's not, if it got nauseated, nobody finds that fun, but.
So, and I'm assuming too, the flights are fast. I mean, they're probably moving, trying to get somewhere.
I don't know. What is your knots? Do you know? You're running 90, 120?
Yeah, usually about 120.
Yeah.
Depends.
Yeah.
Headwind, tailwind.
You bet.
We always hope for a good tailwind.
Wow. Well, you mentioned earlier that there's never a good day if that helicopter's going up in the air. Not going to be a good day for you. Not going to be a good day for the people that you're landing for. Does anybody look at you and just go, what are you doing here? They get belligerent, not wanting your help at all?
I've had one patient refuse our help, and it's questionable whether she needed us to begin with. I think, you're right. Nobody calls us nobody calls EMS because they're having a good
That's
day.
Right.
But the reality is not everybody can handle that. And, nobody really wants to go handle somebody's worst day. But I think we all do it because, if somebody's got to help, we are willing to do it.
So let me ask you this. How does that play out as far as like chain of command? So first one on the scenes, usually a first responder, a police officer, or something like that. How does it?
When do you get the call?
Yeah. So is that like an EMS thing?
You're feeding my energy, man.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next question. Who dispatches you?
So it depends on where you work. So in a more rural area, as far as like a scene flight would go, sometimes I know that, so here in Oconee, the closest trauma center is Greenville. So if somebody meets trauma criteria and they need to go to a trauma center, you got to go to Greenville, and however far that takes you, you have to take into account of traffic and stuff. So they might put you on an automatic standby. So if they know that there's a bad car accident out on Highway 11, they might go ahead and launch a helicopter for that, just to have them there. That way, if you need them, they're there and they're ready to land and ready to take care of that patient. Other times, if it's an interfacility, they determine, how fast that patient needs to get there and if they need critical care.
So if you're on standby, who makes that call though? Who actually dispatches you? Is that something that's done?
Yeah. So usually EMS on scene will say, yeah, we need them, or no, we don't.
Where it's, yes, we're on the scene. This is likely going to be a flight for life. We hadn't even got them out of the car yet or whatever, but go ahead and get them on their way. So that's an EMS.
Yeah. It's a paramedic on scene.
Gotcha.
Now, we live in a very interesting area. And I know you don't work in Oconee, but you don't work 1,000 miles from here. It's still Sumter. It's still National Forest. It's still Blue Ridge Mountains. Are you doing any landing remotely? Like, fly fishermen break their leg, canoe accident on the whatever?
All the time. We have tons of hiking accidents around here. Yeah. Or people get into the woods and realize.
Stump house. Is it Queen?
Yeah.
Or, biking accidents.
Yeah. Motorcycles, ladders, and hiking.
Ladders.
Yeah. Now, your husband just bought a mountain bike, too, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of that, but I'm really excited about it.
I want to say that somebody in this room is responsible for that.
Sorry to break the news to you. I've got one I hadn't used in a long time.
I called him yesterday. I was like, dude, the weather's perfect. Let's go. He's like, man, I'm in Charlotte or wherever he is working.
Yeah.
He's a welder on the road. But he was also a paramedic, too.
Yeah, he was an EMT.
EMT.
Yep.
Oh, quick correction. Sorry, Gary, you were no paramedic.
We've seen the pecking order on that one.
That's great.
He was good EMT. But he made a very good decision to go be a welder.
Makes more money, I'm sure.
He makes significantly more money.
Is there
He's a lot happier.
Is there competition in your industry? Like the people that are on the same line of you? Yeah. Is everybody just trying to knock somebody over so we can get a step up?
It is. It's cutthroat.
Is it really?
Yeah. Especially, even with, I would say on the nursing side too, nurses, and I'm sure there's.
You're right, but would you say that there's competition for the primo jobs, but there's always an opening for a nurse? So, for instance, every nurse wants to be like on the delivery floor, but they don't want to be in the ER. But there's always jobs in the ER for nurses, right? But they all want to be delivering babies. Like there's like this. Is that the same way kind of in your industry? Like there's always a job for a paramedic, but if you want to be on a helicopter.
Yeah,
I'd imagine that's top of the cool chain for sure.
It is. It's top of the cool chain. You have to work very hard to get there. I think there are more nurse openings just because I think there's more opportunity for nurses. For medics, this is kind of, you're on the ambulance or you're on the helicopter. You might find a job in an ER or teaching, but other than that, there's not a ton of opportunity for paramedics. So
yeah,
for nurses,
there's a big need for nurses. And the reason I know that is because there's travel nursing, which is a thing. Where they pay you a premium, they like put you up because they can't find anyone locally. They want people to travel in, whatever. So, obviously it's not here. I'm sure they're not.
Do you walk through the hospital and other nurses go, ooh?
She's on the flight cruise. She's walking through like Maverick with like the suit on and the
helmet.
Yeah.
That's what they don't tell you. So like, in July or August when it's just so hot. So the Nomex flight suits, like the hotter it gets, like the tighter the like fabric is woven together. And so like it is so hot. And then you have helmet hair and like nobody looks glamorous. Like, and you smell bad and you've probably got like somebody else's body fluids on you. Like
that's why you're walking through. That's why you just leave the helmet on.
It's like OLEC. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
But you do, I think, have more of a commanding presence when you walk in just because, you are critical care. You are, you're the highest level of care that patients got during transport. And so I think when you walk in, you're just not here.
People listen to what you're saying when you're debriefing them and that gurney's going down the hall. They are paying attention because you're the last person to touch this patient.
Yeah,
right?
Typically.
Is there a TV show about what you do?
There should be.
You make a darn good one.
They have a lot. And I think the most recent one is Emergency NYC on Netflix, and it actually does a pretty good job of showing EMS transport on the helicopter and then also ambulance transport. Interesting. They do a good job. They don't show the dark humor though. So
is it all? Is it like a documentary style, or is it all false? It's like all acting.
No, yeah, it's
like Chicago PD or
Okay, so none of it's real.
No, this is real.
Oh, it is real.
Yeah.
So
like,
it's not. It's
like
not.
Cops real, like live PD, or is it a scripted series?
No, it's not scripted. They really go on transports with
okay.
patients.
Okay,
And,
that'd
Cops.
be cool.
Yeah, like Cops.
Yeah. Well, it's
I'll have
live PD now. Cops is kind of irrelevant.
I'll have to watch that. What did you say it
Boys.
was called?
It's Emergency NYC.
Okay.
So if Bad Boys is to Cops, what is your song?
What's your slogan?
Oh man.
Good girls, good girls. Thank you for flying out.
I haven't thought of that one. You know, I think everybody has their own hype music.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's get.
Yeah, what's your
let's
walkout?
there.
What's your
Let's
walkout music?
Get there. When you get the call, have you got AirPods in or Bose headphone, or you got Bluetooth in your helmet already?
So we
Is
don't
it CCR going through the jungle?
we don't have music on our helicopter. We've been fighting for this, and apparently it's like a distraction or something. So they don't want us having the music. So on the ambulance, it's fun getting to work with different people, and everybody has their own style of music. I was never like too picky, but I worked with people that were, they had to listen to like heavy metal, like on the way to a call that sounded like it would be good. And then other times, now
Yeah.
we talk about what we think is going to happen, what we think we're going to need, and we come up with a game plan.
On the way there.
Yeah.
Do you work out a lot? Is your and two-part question? Do you work out a lot, and does your job require that? Like it's very taunting to hot suit July.
Yeah. So flying, it does, this job is very physically stressful just from the stressors of flight. And then also, lifting heavy patients. We live
Hydration.
everybody is, when we live in the biscuit belt, like most people that
The biscuit belt.
are,
She's from not around here.
For those that are not in the South,
sorry.
we like to eat
Give it
around
away.
here. Yeah.
yeah. And so, most of your patients are not, they're not super fit either. So you have to be strong enough to,
Move them around.
yeah.
So now he's talking about prepping, or you were talking about prepping too on the flight in. And I'm assuming that from where you take off, you have like a circumference that you guys cover. How long is that flight? And on the way there, I'm sure you're thinking about all the things you're going to need. You're probably getting debriefed over whatever on what the problem is, what you're getting ready to land and take care of.
Yeah. So when we get a flight request, we don't know what it's for.
So they don't even tell you on the way.
No, so initially they want the pilot to say, the weather's good or we're good to take it. And we all agree, the saying is 3 to go, 1 to say no. So we all have to agree that we're going to go. And then after.
So one person can stop that whole thing.
Yep. So,
one person can say, we're not taking that call.
yeah. And
What happens after that?
then you don't go.
Is there another helicopter?
You just need another group that says, yeah, we'll go. So is that because of weather usually?
It can be for weather. So usually our pilots are awesome at checking. They keep an eye on the weather their entire shift. So they work 12-hour shifts and they keep an eye on the weather. So we already have a good idea if it's going to be clear blue and 22 all day, the weather check isn't going to take.
We're taking it all.
But yeah, if it looks questionable or if we think we're going to have afternoon thunderstorms, they'll take a better look at where we think we're going to go. If we're going to have any trouble getting there, getting back.
So he's got like a no-fly zone the whole time.
Yeah.
And if that call happens to come from that zone, he's like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
So back to Kyle's original question, how far is it your maximum radius from base? Is it 2 hours one way? Because you got to bring a patient back?
So you call, we haul. We're going to go wherever. Usually our local... I know that sounds so funny. That's literally what we say.
It used to be the coroner's motto, too.
So
Andy, we're on our way. We'll be there in 4 hours.
yeah, so
You call, we haul.
really,
awesome.
if it fits, it ships.
Back to
These are all part of like the dark humor. I guess.
back to the Southern Biscuit part.
We need a book of Alaina quotes. We live in the Southern Biscuit Belt, and if
We
you
do.
call, we'll haul. If it fits, it ships.
If it fits, it ships. So
That's great.
in our particular, so sometimes EMS will bring the patient to us, and so we will just wait there for them if they're already nearby. Otherwise, usually, it's probably anywhere between, I guess, couple minutes and 20 minutes,
Yeah.
usually 20 minutes. And then if we're the only people available and it's further out, we'll go.
I guess the reason I ask is because I'm trying to like put myself in the position that you'd be in. Like you get the call, you got to go. I'm trying to like think about how long that flight is, how long you get to think about what you're about to enter?
I bet it could be 2 hours, and I bet it goes by like that.
So usually it does go by quickly. Although sometimes so we'll accept the flight, and then sometimes we'll get a little blurb of what it is. If it's going to be a car accident, if it's going to be, a heart problem. And so we kind of prepare for that. If it sounds like it's going to be something that requires a lot of thought, like it feels like it takes forever because
Gotcha.
You just know it's coming towards you.
And so for instance, if you get a call and you somehow know that it's a car accident and they're going to need blood, you're like prepping, you're getting blood,
Yep.
You're getting stuff hanging, whatever, you're ready.
Yep.
And then I would assume that once you feel like you are ready to take this patient, then that's when the clock really slows down because you're like, I'm ready, but we're not there yet.
Yeah. So if we have an idea of what it's going to be like, we definitely start planning right away. And then we'll get there. And as soon as we make patient contact, usually time flies.
Mm-hmm. So now, and then you get debriefed on landing. The EMS or the paramedic on site probably debriefs really fast, or maybe do they help in the transition? Like they're in the helicopter kind of getting the patient stabilized?
Yeah, so if it's a scene flight, we'll get out of the helicopter, or when we're getting ready to land, we'll make contact via radio just to see, if there's anything different about the landing zone, if we need to keep an eye out for anything. And then when we get into the ambulance, they'll help us stabilize the patient and help us load usually, and then that's it. They stay back.
Who's the most arrogant branch? I don't know if branch is the right word. Who's the most arrogant
Here we go. He's
department?
going to try to divide you.
Police, fire, first responder with a Ford Ranger and flashing lights.
Listen, don't throw anybody under the bus on Jared's account.
No, I'm curious because you've got to know there's a guy out there going, oh, the helicopter's here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we don't get to help anymore.
I think we all make fun of each other equally.
Okay.
It's just part of the game,
And
right?
everybody knows it. Yeah, fire makes fun of EMS. We make fun of fire.
Do they have nicknames for what you do?
Oh, I'm sure.
Whirly birds.
I'll have to come up with something because that's pretty funny. Like, do you have nicknames for other people?
I mean, yes.
Don't go there. Don't go there. I shouldn't have asked
All right,
that.
so I guess we're getting pretty close to the end of this. Do you have any interesting stories you can tell us? And if you can't tell them or you don't want, whatever, that's fine too.
I can't really go into detail on things, but I've seen some pretty freak accidents as far as usually motorcycles and car accidents. Sometimes you arrive and you're like, how in the world is this patient still alive? And it takes everything in you to try and wrap your mind around that while you're still dealing with trying to keep them alive. And
have you seen the Lord work inside the helicopter?
Absolutely.
Like, there's no way that should have happened.
Oh, for sure. And we all kind of talk about it. We're like, oh my gosh, how is this patient still alive? Like,
yeah, how is he still talking to us?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's cold chill category right there. I mean, you can't ignore it. Anybody in that field, fire, police, rescue, it doesn't matter. Like, if you don't see the Lord show up at some point,
yeah,
jeez.
For sure.
And then I ask you what you loved most about your job. What do you hate about your job? Or
Charting.
hate's a strong word. What do you dislike most about it?
Everybody hates charting. Everybody in the medical field hates charting. Like, if it wasn't for charting, it would be.
You don't have somebody that does that for you?
No.
Ooh, hey, that's a new business we could start.
Hey,
Fill a need.
It would make so much money. I would pay somebody to chart for me.
So you say charting, you mean like the desk work?
Yeah, so we get back from our flight or, on a ground ambulance, you take care of your patient, you drop them off at the hospital, and then you have to chart everything. So and
that's in code, right? It's not just writing down a police description. That's
no, it really is. So it's everything in depth from, every detail as to what you saw when you got there, why you did what you did, if you had to contact anybody for orders or, what they said, why you did, and you literally document every detail.
And how much time does that take you?
Usually like 2 hours.
God, we need to take a look at that. I'd rather get a voice memo from Alaina, type out everything on our voice memo.
Yeah, I need a scribe.
No, it wouldn't even be a voice memo, just recorded. Like, yeah. I guess it's the same thing. Yeah.
And then I'll type it up, hand it to her. She'll read it, save 2 hours of her day, make some edits, and then turn it in.
Yeah. Well, and personally, what I would think what you'd need to do, and obviously I don't know your field, but you would think that there would be somebody that's all they did for the whole.
That's right. That's
base,
exactly right.
Right. They hire them.
It's not a paramedic. It's not a pilot. It's not a supervisor. It is a desk clerk.
And then they can go ask, they can go if they need have a question about whatever it was, but that's all they do. It's like the data entry clerk at a company.
That's exactly right. Well, hospitals have coders.
Scribes. They follow
scribes
the doctors
as a full-time position.
Yeah. Because doctors hated doing it.
Well, I hate charting. We all hate charting. Everybody hates charting.
There's not enough room in a helicopter for a scriber.
No, but you could do voice.
Or you could get a bigger helicopter and carry the
There you go. See, we could be saving 2 people at a time.
Well, we wouldn't want to buy a helicopter anyway. So. We can write it off now. Company expense.
because we're scribers.
Do you have a favorite quote or book or Bible verse you read? Music, song,
anything that just touches you in a way,
motivates you to keep going.
Yeah. So I have tons of Bible verses and quotes that I reference constantly, but I think one that I have been going back to most recently, reminding myself that like really your attitude is everything. Your attitude and your mindset are everything. And if you consistently find yourself getting, frustrated over the same thing, I think at that point you need to manage your expectations, and then your whole perspective changes on that thing.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Lynn, how old are you?
I'm 27.
That's awesome.
It took me a minute to think about it.
What would you just wait.
Wait till you get old.
Tell me, if somebody was looking to get into what you're doing and they're in high school now, what advice would you have them, or what would be the career path?
I think this goes for a lot of things, but you're the only thing standing in your way. I mean, if you want to do it, you just have to work hard and get there. I mean, for me, I worked on a busy ambulance for a couple years, and then I worked my way into an ER, and it took going way out of my way to get that job, but I made it happen just to learn more and to see what it was like, what that patient sees after they get transferred to the hospital from you and EMS. So I did that. I studied so much on my own.
Yeah. It goes back to mindset.
Yeah.
It's like if you want it, and you got to have the right mindset. You got to really, really want it.
Yep.
Is there a class they should be taking in Career Center? Do they even do anything like that for this field?
So EMT program first. A lot of community colleges have the EMT program, and then you can go to paramedic school, and all in all, if you do them back to back, it's 2 years. And then getting a couple years of experience under your belt in the ambulance, and then going from there. Definitely, I'm a huge proponent of job shadowing. Everybody should go job shadowing.
We talk about that all the time. Like we talk about the fact that you're going to learn more.
It's a little bit different in this career.
I get that, but there's a difference between saving lives in person and then how to save lives on a book.
That's right.
Right?
No, for sure.
When you're with somebody who's done it, you're going to learn more from that person than you ever learned in a
that's
book.
right. That's right. Did you have a chance to do that at all before you were certified to?
Yeah, so during your EMT and paramedic school, they send you out on an ambulance to ride along as a student, and you get to practice your skills and stuff like that. But there's usually, you never run the same call twice. So, I mean, literally anything can happen, and you've never seen it all, because as soon as you're like, that was crazy, something even crazier happens. So just if you can go job shadow, go ride on a helicopter or an airplane that does that. EMS, go ride on several different ambulances in different counties, go to different ERs or ICUs, and just hang out, see what you can learn.
Yeah. And this has been a great podcast, and I really love hearing this side of it. And I know that we can't get into the business side of the company that you work for, but man, it'd be awesome to kind of hear that whole side. Like, how does that P&L work?
You think we could reach out? Would there be a conversation to be had there with an owner or a CEO?
Either with your company or maybe a company that competes with y'all or does.
That way we get past the legal.
Yes, there's many important people that that deal with those matters. And
so we're not trying to hide anything here on today's episode, but there are legal reasons we can't name companies and locations. So
cool. This has been a good one.
We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Most importantly, we appreciate what you do and all the first responders, police, fire.
100%.
Probably more of a thankless job, just like a school teacher, man. You don't do these kind of jobs for the $65,000 a year that you make. It fulfills a lot more.
I will tell you this, though, and this is no disrespect to school teachers, but if you're a crappy school teacher, that kid's still going to survive.
That's right.
It's a little different.
No, that's
when
right.
You know,
in between EMS and
yes,
unless you're a teacher, that also is a first responder.
Well, that's different.
Because that's very important. Yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, this is Kyle Jarrett and Alaina Cain. Thank you so much, Alaina.
Thank you.